Thank you for coming. I'm Darrell Gunter. I will be your MC for this section of the Innovators. And I'm very pleased that we have really three very exciting presentations. And my presenters will be happy to know that instead of 10 minutes, you get 12 minutes. Unlike the other day, I had to cut them back. Today, I add in, so. All right. So, our speakers for today, we have Ms. Shima Moradi, Middle East Studies Librarian of Slavic and Area Studies Collection, strategist at UC Santa Barbara. Let's give her a round of applause. We have Mr. Thomas Phillips, the Executive Director of the Digital Theological Library in Claremont, California. Welcome. And then we have my fellow Philadelphian, Mr. Boaz Nadiv Manez, who's the University Librarian at Lehigh University Libraries in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Boaz, welcome. Now, a couple of our presenters have other folks who are going to join them, and they'll introduce them when they come up for their particular presentation. So without further ado, Ms. Shima Moradi.
Good morning, everyone. This is Shima Moradi, the Middle East Studies Librarian and Slavic and Area Studies Collection Strategist at beautiful UC Santa Barbara. This is my picture at the very first day in November 2024, so it's literally a year for me. And I'm here to briefly reflect on how AI can help us build equitable access in the humanities, particularly in Middle East studies and Middle East resources. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Charleston Conference's Code of Conduct, and then talk about how AI tools, when used critically, can help us bridge linguistic and cultural gaps, as well as mitigate search biases in Middle East studies. My focus is not just on technology, but on critical information literacy, ethics, and multilingual access. So let's talk about the concept and the context first to make everyone be on the same page. Middle Eastern resources are often underrepresented in major catalogs and databases. Controlled vocabularies privilege Euro-American perspectives. For example, Arabic discussion on hijab, the cover around the hair in Islam, may not be discoverable through standard English subject terms. Algorithm amplifies what's most indexed, usually English content, creating confirmation and availability biases that further marginalize regional scholarships. The adoption of AI is a chance to rectify structural biases in our discovery system and to directly counter this systematic marginalization. Before introducing tools, it's crucial to understand the script and language landscape. You all know that Middle Eastern languages are mostly right-to-left scripts, often misrendered. Diacritics are frequently dropped during optical character recognition, OCR, which reduce accuracy. And there are multiple transliteration standards create inconsistency if not documented properly. This leads to metadata drift, rendering collection unsearchable. Besides, OCR and HTR, which is handwritten text recognition, accuracy ranges not 100% in most cases. So we don't have 100% the exact text, which is in Middle East resources, which is in Middle East resources. So first, let's talk about ethical lens and explore some AI solution together. And I will be sharing tools and ideas that recognize multiple languages and scripts, helping us work more inclusively across diverse collection. Critical information literacy provides the framework to interrogate AI rather than to passively accept its output as authoritative. We can implement practices such as prompt documentation, model versioning, and cross-checking outputs. Prompt documentation involved recording the exact instruction given to an AI, while model versioning tracks the specific AI model. We all know that the models are changing rapidly, and it's really important to capture the very last model we've used. And also the very last prompt, it needs to be captured to make our endeavor and our attempts reproducible and transparent, and make it happen more and more. These two, as I've told you, these two ensure reproducibility, transparency, and improve future AI interaction and adoption. Cross-checking output, or triangulation, verifies AI-generated information against multiple reliable, credible sources to catch errors, ensure accuracy, and mitigate biases. And we need to ask, in the AI output, what is missing, whose voice are highlighted, and whose are excluded. I'm going to talk about this later. So let's look at the heart of this solution. Our goal is to transform unsearchable regional manuscript into fully discoverable assets. This involves a 5-step workflow. We start with OCR or HTR to convert manuscripts to machine-readable text. Then we clean and transliterate metadata, extract entities, and use large language models for cataloging suggestion, as well as metadata enrichment. And for the very last step, we use large language models, or AIs, to generate multilingual summaries and expand discoveries. Human verification are crucial throughout this process, which involves cross-checking the AI's suggestion against trusted authority files, such as those maintained by the Library of Congress, or consulting regional subject experts. The impact is tangible. While the AI identifies and surfaces data, it's the librarian who ultimately validates and contextualizes the knowledge. So here are some of the most relevant AI tools from Middle Eastern work that I've captured from here and there. And at this slide, I'm sure that there are so many vendors and publishers and maybe some libraries working on that already. The step one is HTR for primary sources. Then we can use something like Transcribus, Kraken, Scriptorium, Calfa, or Hatformer for handwritten Arabic, Persian, Hebrew, or Ottoman manuscripts. Librarians need to check and correct errors if needed, and this saves hundreds of hours of manual transcriptions, accelerating primary source research. The second step is using large language models like GPT-4 by fine-tuning them on library datasets to better enforce ALA, LC romanizations, especially for complex multilingual Middle Eastern names. We can use OpenRefine with AI plugins to suggest bulk standardization for inconsistent transliteration, like this word, Khayyam, which was, or actually is, a popular poet, Iranian poet, but unfortunately we can find his records in different formats, and you need to know about different transliteration to find exactly a comprehensive records about him. The third step involves in entity extraction. Run entity extraction in GPT-4 Spacie Arabic, which is a free open source library for NLP in Python, or Azure Cognitive Services, or Neural Space AI. A librarian can move the raw text of a newly digitized 1930s Palestinian pamphlet through the Spacie Arabic pipeline to automatically extract every mentions of people, places, and organizations. Step 4, cataloging assistance. Prompting large language models like GPT-4 to create a concise scope note and subject suggestion for a newly acquired untranscribed Ottoman Turkish document. Librarian needs to review the generated draft for tone and bias and verify the suggested subject terms against the Library of Congress subject headings. Number 5 is summarization. DeepL Pro, or Microsoft Translator, or G-Translation, or GPT-4 for multilingual summarization or translation. And there is a note that each tool comes with privacy, licensing, and accuracy trade-offs. And this is my favorite part. AI can reshape how knowledge is produced, discovered, and shared. The next challenge, and maybe opportunity, is to guide our patrons through the same transformation. We need to cultivate AI literacy to prepare users for the information landscape ahead. And there are some solutions to that. And I believe that the very, very first one is teaching scholars to craft effective prompts, so prompt engineering, and search string to reveal non-Western sources. The second would be preparing scholars to use tools like Cite AI and identify citation biases and connected papers to reveal non-obvious, often non-English connections. And the third, which is really important, is educating scholars in ethical auditing practices, which involves questioning the AI output. What is missing, and whose voice are amplifying? So I gave an example here, a practical example, which when you use AI, it's better to ask it in 2 or 3 different languages, like providing an academic summary of the creation of the Armenian alphabet by Mesrov Meshtad in English and in Armenian, then compare the outputs. Does the English summary prioritize Western, US, UK scholarly sources? Does the Armenian summary cite different scholars or frameworks? Does the AI hallucinate sources in one language but not in the other? And these ensures students, scholars, and our user question both what AI shows them and what remains hidden, and it's really important. And here are the key takeaways. AI can bridge, but also reinforce biases. A unified pipeline improves access when guided critically. Language realities must shape workflows. And librarians, vendors, and publishers share responsibility. These are the image credits. Most of them has been prompted by me with using different AI, specifically my favorite, Nano Bananas. Definitely some of them were not real, and I hope you could recognize those, specifically those miniatures who is about the woman or men in 800 years ago working with laptop. It was so obvious, but the texture was somehow so old, so maybe you get in the trap. And this is my last word, is the future of discovery in area studies lies not in automated solutions, but in a critical partnership between technology and human expertise. It's our collective role as a scholar and librarians to guide these tools toward greater epistemic equity. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Thomas E. Phillips.
Hi, I'm Tom Phillips, the Executive Director of the Digital Theological Library, located in San Diego, California. That makes everybody envious. The DTL mission is to help everyone to engage in self-critical reflection upon their own faith and humble dialogue with those of other traditions. We accomplish this by having 2 central foci. Graduate education, we provide curated library resources for seminaries around the globe in all traditions, and then global and open access work. We operate several libraries and open access press. The problem I want to talk about today is the challenge of the moment, which is textbooks that are overpriced and under-translated. And I might say, after all those beautiful photos we had in the last presentation, these are all AI-generated images and deliberately corny, like the fat cat protecting the books. So we always begin with very simple questions at the DTL. Just what is a textbook? It is a pedagogically sensitive introduction to the current state of scholarship on some topic. Well, hey, AI to the rescue. It can do that and do that much cheaper. And you can even turn the thinker into Jesus if you want, or Jesus into the thinker, depending on how you look at it. So our idea is to create and translate open access textbooks via AI under the supervision of scholars. That we are trying to create an end product that has 4 characteristics. It is credible. That is, a scholar has created it and has approved the content. That is stable, so you can teach from it for pedagogical purposes. We make a PDF, a print book, Kindle, and then, of course, the PDFs are distributed open access, which makes them affordable. And then it's Diamond Open Access. We don't charge anybody anything to work with us. In fact, we pay them. We'll get to in a minute. And then the other characteristic, accessible. We immediately translate them into multiple languages and make those PDFs, and to the extent possible, the Kindles and print books also available. The 6 steps to this process. First, you have to gather the experts, and that's your staff job. Then you have to train the experts. That's staff interacting with your experts. Create through all text. That's up to your experts to do. Then format the cover and the text. Create the book. That's staff time. Translate the text and publish the text, staff time. Here's how it works. We gather scholars. You find people who believe in open access. If they're senior scholars, you make this pitch to them. Share your expertise. Write that book you've always wanted to write but never had time for. Open access is a moral mandate. It really works well if there are people who believe in open access. And then you say, here's an easy way to do it. For junior scholars, you make much the same pitch, but you can say, on your resume, you put this under the category of community service, not scholarly publication, so people understand that you don't think using AI is original scholarship, but public service still matters for your tenure and promotion. And that's what we call it, public theology and sometimes public science. Build a coalition of the willing, and skeptics work really well. If you have people who think, there's no way, if you know what you're doing, you can train them in using AI, and you'll have a convert, and converts are zealous. Then you train them on AI, and we do that with our staff. That our model is the Oxford Very Short Introductions, 25 to 30,000 words that they give us. Then we turn that 25 to 30,000 words into a book. No textbooks. And what we tell the scholars is your name is on the cover. It is your scholarly reputation that goes behind this. It's not ours or the AI, it is yours who says this is a credible textbook. That's your job, to give us something that's a credible introduction. Then create a consistent look and feel to them, make them stable. That's what we do. That's part of our task. Translate them. That's part of our task. Right now we do German, French, Spanish, Creole, English. We do them all in print and Kindle except Creole, which Amazon doesn't support, so we just give away the PDFs. And we do that because of the very desperate plight in Haiti, if you know anything at all about Haiti. And that makes them accessible, of course. Then we publish the book. We do that by putting it in an OA collection in the OCLC knowledge base. If you want to turn on that collection, it is titled DTL Press Publications. You go in there and you can activate that and have all our titles immediately available in your holdings. Then we publish it in print through Amazon Print on Demand, so we're not actually messing with handing out print books and that kind of stuff and Kindle books on there. Now your practical questions, full disclosure, we tell people these are AI created. On the cover it says under the supervision of, and we call them creators, not authors. Every book has this paragraph in its preface. This series is very different than traditional textbooks. It is created by AI. The cover of each volume identifies the work as created under the supervision of an expert in the field. However, that person is not an author in the traditional sense. The creator of each volume has been trained by the DTL staff in the use of AI, and the creator has used AI to create, edit, revise, and recreate the text that you see. With that creation process clearly identified, let me explain the goals of this series: credible, affordable, stable, accessible. Now, other questions you're going to have: what about copyright? The reality is you cannot copyright an idea. You can only copyright the unique expression of an idea. There have been two cases that have gone with for-profit companies training AIs on copyrighted materials, and as long as that copyrighted material was legally acquired, it's quite fine. Both judges have ruled that it is a transformative use, the case against Anthropic and Meta. I suspect that that will be the de facto state of things going forward. And on the other hand, can you copyright what you've done? The current ruling from the Copyright Office is that you cannot copyright AI-produced content. So we actually put it under a Creative Commons license. Anybody can reproduce it as long as they don't alter it, because we don't want to embarrass our authors by having versions that they have not approved out there, and you give us credit. But technically, I don't think we could enforce that under the law, because AI content currently is not copyrightable. Practical stuff: what about income? We actually are selling books because we price them really cheap. We produce a book, it'd be about 25 to 30,000 words, is between 120, 150 pages. And we sell the books for $15. There are a lot of people who just rather buy the print book than read the PDF or print it out. So we actually sell copies fairly aggressively, and the Kindle versions are only $7.50. But we pay our creators $300 to create the content, and then $1 for each print or Kindle version that is sold after 50 copies. The reason we have a 50 copy limit is we don't want to do a lot of bookkeeping, just figure out how we're going to send somebody $6 or something. Yeah, and everybody plans to get rich off this process. Not. The practical stuff: staff time. Train to gather experts, depends on how networked you are and how persuasive you are. Train experts, about 90 minutes. 60 to 90 minutes, somebody walks away and somebody never used AI before. Wow, I can do this. It is amazing how quickly people get excited. And then they start thinking about how they can use this in their classes and stuff. To create that content, if we have some folks who are pretty good at it, they've done 3 or 4 textbooks for us, they've got it down to 4 hours. I created a book on the Gospel of Luke. My background is as a New Testament scholar, and I think my credentials would establish me as an expert in that area. And I did it in about 3 hours, but I'm a highly advanced user. But anyone can do it in 6 hours. If they take longer than 6 hours, they're not working efficiently. It's user error if it takes longer than 6 hours to do this. And we train them so that they understand this. And we often go back and say, okay, let me help you out, retrain. But then the cover, it takes us about 3 hours to do that in the internal formatting. The translating takes about an hour per text, and then the publishing about an hour per text. And that's so each language is an hour, to publish, create the cover for the Spanish version and that kind of stuff. About an hour each volume. Then practical stuff: direct cost. The experts, collecting them is free. Training them is staff time. We have an enterprise ChatGPT account. It's about $100 a month. I think we can have like up to 200 users or something. We haven't hit that. We give everybody one of our enterprise accounts when they sign up with us, start working with us. No cost, or $300, to create the text that we pay the scholars. And nobody's doing it for the money. They're all doing it for the cause. But then to translate, no direct cost. Staff time, but no direct cost in formatting. We buy 1,000 ISBNs at a time, and that's $600. If you're interested, or you know somebody who's interested, tell them to talk to me. And we would do anything in religious studies or impinging upon religious studies. Like we have a pediatrician right now who's doing one on a Christian case for a Christian mandate to vaccinate your child. and he's using the science, but he's also speaking as a Christian. We have people who've done 12 steps through neuroscience, 12-step recovery, and then we have very traditional religious topics like Introduction to the Gospel of Matthew. What we want to do is turn religious studies into one area where nobody ever has to buy a textbook. That's our mission. dtlpress.org if you want to go and check it out, or if you want to send me an email or talk to me, I'm happy to talk to you. Thanks.
Boaz, before we bring you up, I want to apologize to my colleagues from Miami University. They will be presenting today, and we have their presentation. So, and I apologize. I'll speak to the organizers as to why you weren't in the listing on the website. So, our apologies for that.
Well, will be an exciting addition to the panel today.
Okay.
No extra charge.
No extra time.
Okay, Boaz, you want to introduce your team?
Okay, hi everybody. So it's not only me today here excited. We got a couple of more people from Elsevier. We're using excited to describe many cool things. I'm really excited about this one. So this is about the future of scholarly communication and deep research we're doing together with Elsevier. My name is Boaz Nadav Manes. I'm the university librarian in Lehigh University Library. I've been there for like a little bit more than 6 years. With me today is Justin Dunham, Senior Product Manager from Elsevier, and Emily Singley, the VP for Library Relations from Elsevier. So I think, Emily, you are next.
Yes, I'm just going to talk really briefly before I hand it back to Boaz. We wanted to share with you a project that we've been working on together, and this came out of actually Charleston 2024. So we had done a session, Boaz and I, about how do researchers use AI and what are their needs. And a few months later, he reached out to me and he was like, "Oh, we've got this chemistry lab on our campus, and they're really interested in how do we extract data from research papers to find new materials to do research on." So what they're doing is they're taking biomass materials, and some examples, they were using garlic husks and garlic roots, and they were using cocoa shells, and biomass, so things people throw away. And using those to build supercapacitors to store energy that can help solve climate change in a sustainable way. So we're all about that. That sounds fantastic. Let's find a way to do this together. So that was the goal. Can we use AI to mine the literature to study materials and bring those back for the researchers that saves them time as they decide what to do testing and experimentation on next? So this was the collaboration, and so basically we had two needs. We had the folks at Lehigh, and of course we have Boaz, who's all about innovation. So we had a library that was ready to dive into AI, and we had a research lab that was really interested in working with the literature. And of course, we have a lot of that kind of material and a lot of material science literature, but we need real use cases. We need real scientists doing real work to inform how we do product development. So it was a great opportunity to collaborate, and we're going to talk a little bit more. My colleague Judd's going to show you a little bit more about what we sort of have ended up with, but over to Boaz. Oh, and this is a picture of us in the labs at Lehigh, and both Boaz and I were super excited because we got to wear goggles and hard hats. But anyway, I'll pass it off to Boaz to talk a little bit about the Lehigh work that they're doing. Oh, it's just...
So here are just a few things of the work we're doing right now. There is a big AI initiative in Lehigh, AI readiness, that goes all across the faculty, staff, and students. We hope to upskill everybody's ability to use AI across the board. Lots of work with the tools and approaches. We're at Gemini University. We do a lot of work with Google, but also with many other partners. So it's a merged organization. The library resides together with technology, security, and the Center for Innovation in Teaching and Learning. So that gives us opportunities to kind of help the university-wide goals, strategic goals like this one, Organization of the Future. So like many organizations across campus are coming to LTS, the Library and Technology Services operation, and ask for assistance. What can we do better? How can we improve our operations? So like some of the work is really exciting because we kind of go together with many and trying to become a better university. We in the library do a lot of exploration with Kinios and Scite around discovery and research tools. We're looking at transliteration of handwritten manuscripts together with lyricists that we just won a reward with. We do a lot of open source work. We're going to be using AI to look at collaborative collections building across a network, and also using it for Project Reshare, which is an interlibrary loan resource sharing system that we're using. So metadata clustering, consortia holdings, discovery, all those great things. And this really awesome project, deep research in certain disciplines. So kind of learning together how to be the best doing this really deep research, helping our faculty. So Judd, I think you are next. Thank you.
What's the secret clicker?
Just press the space bar if you want.
Here we go. So I have one of the most fun jobs in the entire world because I get to work with people like Boaz and his team. Of course, you know, working at a big company, big corporate environment, the sort of the default mode people fall into very quickly in doing product development is, I have a very good idea. Based on my ambient knowledge of what I think users need and the market needs, I have an idea and I want to rush into going and telling a software engineer to code up my idea so that I can ship it and declare victory. So people in my role as having a sort of a mid-level leadership role, I'm there to sort of slow everybody down and say, that sounds like a great idea, but there's work to be done to make sure that the idea is actually good. And so when we have the good fortune to come across people like Boaz and his team, they are instrumental in helping us actually make sure that we do the right thing. And this is sort of an example of, or a visualization of how we do things when we do it the right way. And it says, it's our AI approach. It actually should just say the product development approach. AI just happens to be everything we do right now. So if starting on the left side, somebody has a bright idea, we stop and say, okay, let's talk to some real people and really define the need and get a good understanding of it. And the work that came out of the interaction with the team from Lehigh was really just a stellar example of it. And I wish I had it here and had the time to explain it to you. But in talking to them in great detail and really figuring out what they needed, we reached a kind of a mind meld of like, yes, if you could do this, that would really meet our needs. And then we set about mocking it up and showing it to them and going back and saying, yes, is this the idea? We get the good result, say yes, and then we go and make it. And we build it and we send it over to them and they say, that looks good, but maybe make some changes. And then finally, after a couple of months, if everything has gone well, we've delivered something useful. So that was our intent. Excuse me, when we started with the team. It didn't work out quite as rosy as that because it's obviously also very challenging to create agreements between Elsevier and an organization like Lehigh that make everybody happy. But we did have some very, very good interactions, and it's the kind of thing that really just brightens everybody's day, I think, on all sides. So apart from just, excuse me, apart from just making sure that we're building the right thing, a process like this gives us a lot of validation along the way and helps us change course if we need to. So because that kind of rich interaction, it's something that you just can't get from like a 30-minute user interview or just doing a quick product demo in a webinar or something like that. So this is just some examples of what we heard from the team. These are verbatim quotes that helped us sort of change course. So the one in the middle is one that I really like a lot because it really fundamentally altered how we were thinking about building our AI products. Because we thought initially that what users wanted was to put a complex query into an AI system and be told exactly what they needed to know. No, that was not what they wanted. They wanted to have synthesis. They wanted to have help on some of the time-consuming work of maybe reading and summarizing many papers. But it was always super important to everyone that it be clear what is being asserted and what is that based on? And that led to the fundamental, the key element of the user interface of all of our AI tools that we're building in my team, which is whenever there's an assertion, you need one-click direct access to underlying source material, whether that's something that's been extracted from a factual database or a piece of literature or whatever else. It's like you can it's sort of like one of those kids' book where you kind of like open the flap and you can see what's underneath. And that's, I think, is really the secret to our success with these products so far. I have one more slide. So one of the things that resulted partially from this interaction with the team, but also with just another similar type of thing where we actually just brought a couple people into a room, is this thing that we call the compare experiments table. This is an example of something that was fully generated by interaction with users that has no generative AI actually at all. It's all extractive. It's just something that we had thought, again, people want narratives, people want chatbot outputs. Turns out one thing that people really want is to just have the gory details of many papers presented to them in this way. And it's something that we hadn't thought of and we probably wouldn't have thought of if this person hadn't said, in going through a paper and finding a table like this and saying, oh, I love it when someone has made this because they've done all the work for me. And we immediately thought, ooh, that's something we could do with generative AI. And we built it and we showed it to this person after 3 weeks. They said, that's exactly it. And so we refined it and refined it and refined it, and now it is probably the highest rated feature functionality in any product I have ever worked on. And really, it just cannot be done without this kind of deep engagement. Thank you very much.
Very good. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Aaron Shrimplin with his colleagues John Miller, Carla Myers, and Ming Q from the Miami University.
Good afternoon, and thanks for your interest here. And we're rounding third and heading home. We'll wrap up here, but I got John and myself here today to talk about our project. Carla and Ming are off doing other amazing things today, but they're here in spirit. In beginning of this year, Senate Bill 1 in Ohio was a mandate for higher education in Ohio. And one of the pieces in the legislation, some of the language required that all syllabi are made available, publicly available at all public universities. Now, I know that we have colleagues on campus that see this as a kind of a mandate or a compliance issue, and I think there's truth to that, but we saw it a little differently. We saw it as an opportunity for a new structured data set. For the first time, you could open the door to real-time insight to what was being taught across the university each semester at scale. So this led us to some questions when we watched this legislation come into law. Kind of some big questions were, could we analyze all the syllabi, 5,000 plus syllabi a semester at the university at scale? Could AI help us uncover teaching patterns? And then if we could do that, perhaps that data visualized or customized, could it help inform collection decision-making, instruction, and perhaps even some things like OER adoption? I'll let John here speak about the prototype then.
So we built our prototype with Python, Next.js, and GPT-4. The reason for that, we went with GPT-4 because the high reasoning LLM means our accuracy can be higher. It's cheaper at 15 cents per 1 million input tokens versus $1.25 for a million tokens. It's multimodal. We wanted to be able to grab PDFs and maybe even other formats that might be mandated. And we wanted it to be optimized for low latency because we were building something that was an interactive system, not a batch system. I'm going to show you some screenshots of our tool in action here, but its primary role here is to allow well, I'll just show you. So the first step is it will allow for example, a subject liaison in political science in this example to identify, I'm going to roll through these as we talk about the points there, identify the syllabi in their department, to select and extract metadata from those, a variety of different kinds of metadata, depending on what their needs might be, to match those syllabi to the learning objects, readings, and activities, and match them to relevant materials in our collections or complementary materials in our collections, as well as the library resources. And then produced a report and perhaps even a dashboard that shows where gaps exist that could inform that proactive collection development. So a new emerging technology that is being taught that gives some hints to the liaison about where they may want to invest some of their limited collection dollars in. And while these are screenshots, this is the dashboards we're talking about right here, where it gives you the status, what type of material is, and as we go through, it'll show whether we have them or not, or have access to them or not, whether it's an online resource or a print resource. And tag Aaron in here real quick.
So in terms of the prototype, three results findings. We were able to harvest syllabi in the PDF format. So that was, as a proof of concept, we were successful there. We were also, when that metadata was created and analyzed, we could identify items in syllabi at scale that were also available in our holdings. So we had some of that comparability there, and that helped us identify some of the gaps. So many things to continue to explore, but so far so good.
Our hope is that as we build out this system, our next step would be to take it down to the individual task. So here's an example of a question we asked was, if we can extract all this information about the teaching materials being used by our faculty, can we then take it a step further and automatically map those topics, those learning objectives, those activities to OER activities or OER materials? So our next step on that in our prototype will be to automate that process so that it comes out, it's automatic. But we decided to help build that. In the meantime, we're going to experiment directly with ChatGPT. Here's an example, and I should mention that we are Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and so it's kind of ironic that we are borrowing a syllabus from the University of Florida. The reason for that is that Florida has a similar mandate to Ohio, and it's already in place. The mandate in Ohio doesn't go into place until spring 26, so we're being prospective about that. And in fact, the Ohio legislation was modeled after the Florida legislation in a lot of ways. So we picked this American federal government syllabus, and we first do some context engineering through ChatGPT. So you're using the tools that you have, that everyone has available. So if you want to do this as a DIY, you can do it yourself as well. So we start small. We use one syllabus to test our AI-driven topic extraction and OER matching. We build a structured contextually engineered prompt. The reason for context is we tell the GPT what kind of a researcher we want it to be. So do we want it to be an undergraduate student? Do we want it to be a faculty member? In our case, we have a hybrid, the ideal librarian, where we have an instructional designer and an OER librarian in one person. We tell ChatGPT to act like that person. We get some outputs. So here's some, our prompt is actually, as you see, our prompt is rather complex, which is why we want to automate it. This is just an example. The first week, we mapped topics by week from the syllabus to and identify the topics that are being taught that week. And then we identify OER, OER titles that that topic can be addressed by. We told ChatGPT that we're going to hope that our faculty are already using some OER, so keep those. Don't replace OERs with other OERs. So in this case, there's an OpenStax American Government 3E class there. It's peer-reviewed. It aligns with the course's democracy theme, and it supplements the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times that are used in the first assignment. This is all from ChatGPT's analysis of the syllabus. It also kept the Federalist Papers that the faculty member had chosen to include as well. So the whole idea here is that we want to make this scalable. This is something that took several hours to develop an appropriate prompt that got us the information we wanted. Hot tip, though, you can ask ChatGPT to help you with actually creating the prompt. So that's what we did.
So kind of what are some of the next steps, or what are some of the additional applications and opportunities here? So we'll quickly go through these. Clearly on collection strategy, giving something like our coordinator of collection management the ability to look at curricular trends over time. So as we begin to harvest this data and make it discoverable and analyzed, you could look at trends over time. Certainly from the instructional side, things like, are there certain classes and departments that are more heavily lean into our e-resources, and who are those folks? And then just collaboration and visualization, putting a visualization tool where a selector or a librarian could go in and mine some of this at the departmental level. They could find opportunities to reach out and engage faculty in ways about their content that could start with new partnerships perhaps, or look at things across departments and make some connections in ways that weren't there at that point. So next steps, future development, scaling is the vision. We've done this prototype, we've tested, we're anxious for the university to upload all their syllabi in the spring of 2026, and we'll start seeing if our tool in fact does scale and we can harvest all those syllabi. Then we'll continue to work on AI extraction and some of the accuracy metrics, and then keep building out and working with librarians and partners on the kind of tools that they'd like to see in that interactive dashboard. And there is an opportunity, of course, to do some perhaps statewide collaboration on a tool like this, and clearly, as John showed, some OER integration. So takeaways, what we've learned, so that our untapped metadata for understanding teaching needs, the fact that we can use automation and AI to do this at scale and take advantage of that mandate, and it's pretty amazing, and we hope it's replicable and hopefully create some insights that can shape collection, instruction, and partnerships. Yeah.
If I can endure the audience for a couple of minutes, I'd like to ask each panelist one question and for them to provide an answer. And we have, where's my helper?